Hello, everyone. Welcome to Clarity 16.4.0 Feature Supportability Training. My name is Dave Sprague. In this section, we are going to be covering the export capabilities associated with reporting. And specifically, in our demo, we'll run through the various configurations that the report designer can incorporate into a report and show how those are respected or honored in the exported document, either a PDF or a PowerPoint. So specifically, we're going to look at conditional formatting in terms of setting rules in place for the total column or the per period metric columns. We'll take a look at the new style settings available for tables, as well as the controls that are available in a table via the individual columns hamburger menu. We're also going to then look at, well, how do I exclude certain report tabs during a scheduling exercise? And then there's the ability to hide or show widget borders, makes for a clean report in the export. And then there's a new capability to set border colors for the number tile and the progress ring. And we'll show the number tile and how that is impacted in the exported report. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so we are starting here with 16.4. I've got two browsers up here for clarity. I'm going to show you throughout this demo some comparison to 16.3.3 as compared to the new release 16.4. So let's start with conditional formatting. I'm going to go into my first report here and click on this particular tab, and I'll select edit. And you can see right away that there's some color coding that is occurring here in the grid from various dark green, light green, and red, light red, and dark red. So let's take a look at the conditional formatting here that's been configured. So I've got four rules in place. If I open this first one up in terms of it's for the single attribute remaining availability. And it's got if a resource or a periods is kind of less than minus 10, paint it light red on the particular attribute itself in the period attribute. Likewise, we've got another one here that's for remaining availability, but it's for the total column. I can choose between periods and totals when I set up the rules here for a particular, if it's a per period metric or TSV attribute. So I've got something here, if it's less than 10%, paint it dark red, and so on and so forth for green and dark green in terms of a different threshold. And these are split between periods and totals as well. So I'll cancel out, and then you see the impact of those rules and giving us some nice indicators of where there needs to be some attention paid in terms of totals and or remaining availability in the grid itself. So before we move on to PowerPoint to show how this is also transposed and carries straight through to the exported document, I want to come back to the first tab and show one of the new capabilities to honor borders to actually include or not include a border for these widgets that are on the board. So there's a new option here in style to show the border. So these are all hidden. This one's hidden, this one's hidden. As you see, the board, nothing's been selected back on the new line chart. This is also not included. I'll select it to just show the behavior. And so now we can see a subtle border that's positioned around, and these three bottom elements do not have a border. All right, so I'm going to go to PowerPoint to show off the border controls here. And then it'll include the conditional formatting for the third tab that we're going to look at. So let me hit preview. I'll hit export. I'll hit PowerPoint. Wait a second for the exporting process to wrap up. There it has. I'll just go into the bell notification here and grab this guy and open it up. Let's make it a little bit bigger so we can see it here. Now the first tab shows the border or no border situation. You can see the subtle border around the line chart and no borders on these pie charts, as expected. Now we're going to go to the third tab. That's where we were looking at the conditional formatting rules. But so here you can see we've got the shades of green and shades of red that show up. So straight away, we can see that the export is honoring all those new conditional formatting rules and widget border setting rules. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, which is about table style settings. So let's talk about that. So let me go into 16.3.3 real quick. I'll go into this report that's got a grid on it, and I'll go into edit mode. So I'm in 16.3.3 at the moment. I'm going to open up the configuration area for the table, go to style, and you can see the style is, I've got controls for the title, and I can do various things with the title. So let's go to 16.4.0. I'm on a particular, go into edit mode, and we'll go into the edit capabilities style. And there's quite a few more controls available for the report designer here. The title is what was carryover from the prior release, but everything else on the screen is net new. So let's walk through these. Again, I've got my border control, which I showed previously. I've got the header. This is the header up here in the table. This has got some controls for font size. It's set. I want to save some real estate, so I'm going to shrink that down. The cells themselves, you can also control the font size. So in order to eliminate white space, that's been set. The total row up top, that's also been set to a size similar, and I can control the formatting. You can see the bold has been applied. And then there's multiple controls here for grouping. So group one, as you can see, this group by is a cost type and transaction class. So my first is capital. And so that has a font size as well, but it's also set to a color. It looks like it's a bluish color. You can see that right on screen. And then group two, which is the transaction class, that has got size. It's bolded, but it's got a color of kind of a grayish light tan color. And you can see that reflected here. So I've got a lot of controls here in place for this particular chart. I'll go ahead and do one more thing here for purpose of the demonstration. You can alternate the row colors if you wish for readability. So, and I'm going to pick a color that's kind of obvious, and you can see how that shows up. And it starts to paint every other row within the individual groupings. All right. So that's the new styling capabilities at the table level. So let's take a look now at the controls that are available in the hamburger menu. And I mean this kind of module up here. Let's go back to 16.3.3. I'll go to the totals, and I can see value aggregation and then auto sizing the columns. This particular column or all columns, right? So we'll go back to 16.4, and I'll start here on metrics. And you can see a number of more controls that are here to manipulate the columns. So the first thing I want to show is the renaming of the header. So I'll go to the rename column. So look, per period metrics was originally put there, and you can rename it to whatever you wish, but metrics is in place because that now allows the more columns to be fit on the page instead of having that long per period metrics label. Also, I can rename fields if I want to do that. So budget to variance forecast is rather lengthy. I just renamed that to variance. And so now I've got a kind of a narrow column, allows me to configure more information in the view. Let's go over to this far right column just to show some examples here. I've got the ability to turn on decimal display for the per period metrics. And given that these are configured in a row format, I'm presented, well, which one do you want to impact? So I'll just grab budget, and you can see the impacts. It affects budget all the way down, but not forecast or variance. The next thing I'll turn on is a header or background color, just for demo purposes. I'll grab a blue, and you can see the impact of that. It impacts the totals and the per period metric area. And then the next thing I want to do is cell alignment for this far left, far right column. Let's make it left, so you can see all of the columns are left aligned now. So you can just control it. Anywhere you go in, you impact the entire table. All right, so I've made some adjustments then to using the hamburger menus, which kind of override the styling areas. And I want to do, and then I've done, some of the styling itself by adding the row, every other row has got a certain color. So I'm going to go ahead and hit publish now. And I'm going to come back now as the reporting viewer. I want to show you one more thing from a scheduling perspective. So let's go into our same report as a viewer. You can see it's got the settings that have been configured now. I can go next, and see the various things, the various configurations. But what I want to do is I want to export this report, and I want to exclude this this tab here. I don't want that to show up in the export. So there's a new capability here under schedule. I'll just back this up a minute for demonstration purposes. And we'll go to export, and I'll do the PDF this time. And there's a new capability here to exclude tabs, and that's specifically meaning excluded in the exported file. So I'm going to select location and role. I'm going to hit save, and that's going to go off and do its schedule, whether it was a repeated schedule or whatnot. So let's take a look at the export for that. I'll go into reports. I'll go into my reports library, into the scheduled report. Sorry, I went in the wrong zone. Here's our scheduled report. And actually, this is showing the schedule and various elements, and the fact that we've excluded the tab. So now I want to go look at that report. I had it right here, sorry. It's this guy right here. And, there's just some information about the filters that were applied and whatnot. I just come here to grab the PDF. And there's my PDF with just showing the first tab only, right? With the various configurations that have been set for alternating row colors and left justification, the decimal, etc. And you can notice I get to the end and I do not see the second tab here. So that's the example of leveraging the table styling capabilities, including the controls from the hamburger menu. And then from a scheduling perspective, the option to not include certain tabs within the exported file. Okay, great. The last thing I want to talk about is related to I'll just come back to scheduled reports. Report designer. And I want to talk about how we've introduced a new coloring scheme for the number tile and progress ring. And we'll show an example of the coloring of the number tile. So let's go to 16.3.3 real quick. I'll go here and I'll come to this guy. And here's our number tile here. So let's go into edit mode. I just want to show what it is in the current release. We'll go into the properties for this number tile. And the format area is where you set the tile. You have a total of 10 tile colors, and you can select 10 colors. The style area just has the title, at least in 16.3.3. So let's come back to 16.4. And here's my number tile. I'll go into the properties area. The format is now just determining how you want to display the information in various padding, but style has where you set the chart color. A little different user experience here, but it allows you to set 50 colors that are provided out of the box, as well as a custom color. You can use the hex code to enter that if you desire. So we've got the various colors have set for the different content, budget forecast variance, and different colors have been applied. So I'm going to go ahead and hit preview, export. I'll choose PowerPoint this time. We'll let that run for 1 second. And it should take a second, and I'll get a notification in my bell icon right there. I'll grab this report, open it up, and we only had one tile or one tab, so we'll see the impact of that right there. You can see the colors are also respected in the exported file. Okay, well, that wraps up the demonstration for the exporting capabilities that are now honored based on configurations that are set by the report designer when designing the various reports. Thank you very much.